Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A parent told me something recently that really stayed in my mind. He said, my child used to get excited about the Quran classes when they were young. Now they are teenagers. I have to remind them constantly just to open the Mus'haf to recite it. It's becoming a big concern for him, and I'm pretty sure a lot of families have this concern of their older kids or the kids who used to learn the Quran but not wanting to recite the Quran anymore. Not because Muslim parents like you do not care. Most parents deeply care about this. You make sacrifice, you invest with money, your time, energy, you transport them to the madrasa, you pay tuition just so your child can learn the Quran and be a good Muslim and have Islamic identity. But something is happening quietly in many homes that we need to be mindful of as parents, especially raising kids in the West here. Children, they are growing older, the society is influencing them really fast, but the emotional connection to Islam itself is growing weaker by the day. They're not getting interested in the Quran anymore. And it's the saddest thing a lot of parents will see and realize, but sometimes it might be really too late, is that teaching the Quran or having your child to learn to recite the Quran is not the same as having them to love the Quran. Because one day your child will no longer be under your control. They will have their own phone, they will have their own friends, they will have their own influences around them and their own private life. It will not be you anymore dictating what will happen to them. And this is the moment that really matters. It's not because they didn't attend class, not because you didn't invest in their Quran education, Islamic education, but the real question that we need to be asking ourselves right now is, what is the heart of your child attached to? What is the main thing that your child is really more connected to, that is more beloved to them? That if anything happens, they go to that thing. So if you are a Muslim parent trying to protect the Iman of your child and to make sure they're not just learning the Quran, this can transcend into their later life, adult life. Subscribe to this channel, inshallah, because every week we discuss the real struggles Muslim families across the globe in the West face with kids learning the Quran and embracing Islamic identity. We want to help parents like you build kids, children who will stay connected to Islam in the long run, not just having to learn and forget, not just having to learn and abandon Islam later on. And parents, let us be honest with ourselves, many parents are really exhausted right now. I know of a lot of parents of teenagers who are tired. Because what is happening that we don't know is that our kids are competing with TikTok, with YouTube, with games, with influences, with school culture, peer pressure. Your child can spend 4 hours watching short videos, clips on YouTube, on Facebook, and Instagram, 3 hours doing gaming, and endless time laughing online and interacting with people. But when it's time for the Quran, what happens? They're suddenly tired, they're distracted, they're irritated, they're emotionally absent. And this hurts parents deeply, especially when you invest a lot of time and money to help your child achieve those milestones and become better Muslims. Many of us parents start asking the question of, where did I go wrong? What did I do wrong? What is going on? How can I solve this problem? But the issue is deeper than just the laziness your child is seeing right there. Many children today do not see Islam connecting to their real life. This is one of the things we need to be mindful of. How can we make Islam make sense in the heart of these kids that we're raising to learn to memorize the Quran, to learn to be fluent Quran reciters, to learn to understand Islamic concept? We need to understand and help them connect Islamic way of life to their emotions, to friendship, to confidence building, to identity, to real life struggles. So Islam do not just become something they know, but something they practice. Because if you don't do this, Islam slowly becomes something my parents want me to do in their heart. Quran learning time becomes something, oh, my mom want me to learn it. Oh, my dad want me to learn the Quran. Instead of something they really want to do, something they personally need. They don't see the Quran as something as needed, like they go to school, they know they want to be able to make a career in the future and have job. They want to be able to have this and that. They do not see the Quran as something that will help them live a decent life in the future. So we need to change the narrative and change the way the Quran has been learned. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ومن أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا. Allah said in Surah Taha, Quran 20, ayah 124, that whoever turns away from the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will live a difficult life. And I'm going to tell you how a lot of people live difficult life today. When your guidance is not taken from the Quran, it is taken from the popular culture, it is taken from the TikTok, then you will live a destructive and life full of anxiety. That's why you see our kids today, they have anxiety, confusion. They are empty. Many of the youngsters today, empty, facing the reality of life without guidance. And the Quran is meant to do exactly that. But many children were never shown how Islam really connects to real life. Brothers and sisters, dear parents listening to me right now. And then one day the parents realize when the kids are older and it's too late, it's sad to see how those kids drifting away from Islam. Many parents will say, oh, my children learn Islam but never deeply connect to Islam. They learn the Quran, never connected to it. They memorize the Quran, but they didn't reflect on the Quran. They attend Quran classes, but what happened? They did not internalize the lessons of the Quran classes. They knew the rules of tajweed or the ahkam of fiqh, but they never understood why Islam mattered to their actual life. Brothers and sisters, these are the reality. And once children or kids reach teenage years, what happened? The battle changes completely. Now they are asking, why should I pray salah? Some of them will ask those questions. Why is this one haram? Why is that haram? Why should Islam matter in this kind of life we live today? And if Islam was only taught as information, correction, routine without emotional connection, many children begin looking elsewhere for meaningful life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, and this should be scary to a lot of us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was referring to messengers and prophets he has sent and what the people after them did. Allah said in Surah Maryam, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. Allah said, after those pious people, messengers and prophets have left, then came a generation after them who neglected the prayer and followed their desires. And this people will face their own consequence of this on the day of Qiyamah. Even in this dunya, brothers and sisters, when the desire becomes the controller of the heart, then the heart is in for destruction. Allah said, وَمَنْ أَضَلُّ مِمَّنِ اتَّبَعَ هَوَاهُ بِغَيْرِ هُدًى مِّنَ اللَّهِ. Allah said, no one is much astray than the one that followed their desire without Allah's guidance. And this is exactly why many Muslim parents today feel afraid. We're all afraid about the future of our kids because the word is speaking to your children emotionally every single day. But many Islamic programs and classes only speak about the academics, about memorization and all this. So what actually keeps children connected to Islam in the long term? This should be the focus. And you need to put down your pen and write this down. It's not about fear. It's not about pressure alone. And not about information and correction. Children stay connected when Islam becomes something meaningful to their real life. And this one reason, we create a program in our academy called the Youth Leadership Circle. It's part of the academy program, but for students who are teenagers to come together monthly to brainstorm and teach about real life practice of Islam. Because realize something really important. Children today, they need spaces where Islam speaks to their struggles, their emotions, their friendship, their confidence, their identity, their purpose. Not just about memorization, correction theory. Young Muslims today are asking real questions. And we need to be ready for that. As parents, as teachers, they ask questions, how do I stay Muslim confidently in school? They are having this challenge. How do I deal with peer pressure? They have these issues. How do I handle doubt about Islam? These are things we need to be thinking of, brothers and sisters. How do I balance dunya and akhirah? These are the questions these kids are asking. And they might not ask you louder, but they're having it in their mind. So if we do not help these kids connect Islam to these realities of life they face today, someone else and something else will answer those questions for them. So the companions of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in a hadith that was narrated by Jundub bin Abdullah, and they understood this deeply. He said, "Kunna fityanun jazawira." He said, we are strong youth, and we are with the Rasulullah. He said, "Fata'allamna al-imana qabla ta'allamna al-Qur'an." We learned the iman and understood the foundation of Islam before we learned the Quran. ثم تعلمنا القرآن فازددنا به إيمانا. And we learn the Quran, then our iman increases. So the first builds the conviction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their heart. This is what Rasulullah taught them. Attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then the Quran was taught to them, and their heart was ready to carry the message of the Quran and stick to it. Brothers and sisters, what should Muslim parents do today? Stop thinking the solution is just about more classes or getting them more busy. And this is really wrong. It's not about more classes and getting them busy with Quran all the time. Your child needs connection. They need mentorship. They need righteous companionship. They need safe Islamic spaces to discuss things in their mind. They need emotional attachment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Quran. The second thing your child needs so that they can be with the Quran and Islam for a long term is to bring Islam into their daily life naturally. Brothers and sisters, a lot of parents make this mistake. They put the kids in Islamic schools, online classes, but they forget about what the kids are doing. You're not doing yourself a favor. It's not about just reciting the Quran. It's not just about go and pray salah. You need to have conversations with your kids. You need to have reflection time together. You need to have stories time together. You need to have family reminders time. Discussing real life struggle through the lens of the Sharia. This is something that you need to do. The third thing that we need to do is we need to start this and make it consistent. Do not do it one day and forget about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to do things consistently, and that's what really makes sense. That's where the progress is, not doing it one time and forgetting about it. Once we start this, we need to make it consistent. Rasulullah mentioned a hadith of Aisha anha that أَحَبُّ الْأَعْمَالِ إِلَى اللَّهِ أَدْوَامُهَا وَإِنْ قَلَّ. The best of deeds are those consistent, even they're small, 5-10 minutes, to have a reflection discussion with your kids about Islam, about the Qur'an, about their life in school, how they can apply Islamic principles to solve the problems, about their friendship, how do they select friends. My brothers and sisters, we need to answer these questions for these kids. Otherwise, we're going to spend money on time having them to memorize the Quran, having them to learn to read the Quran fluently, but at the end of the day, we might not get any benefit from that in their life. Brothers and sisters, it's time. And this is exactly why many programs are failing to help students. And this is why we need to have programs structured that the kids are not just learning, they're not just learning to finish the Quran, but to help them stay connected to Islam for the long term. Through Quran fluency, tajweed, refinement, Islamic sciences studies, mentorship, seerah, hadith, and discussions, real life connection of Islam and the Quran to their real issues they face in daily life. Because the goal of learning in Islam, like the Sahabi that mentioned Jundub bin Abdullah, he said they learn īmān, they learn the real Islam first. Before they started memorizing the Quran, before they started learning how to recite the Quran, they learn īmān, they understood who Allah is, they understood what life is without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are able to practice this with the Quran. Brothers and sisters, the goal for you, when you're thinking of having a child to learn the Quran, is, will my child choose Islam when they grow older? Will these skills they learn will benefit them and they can stay with this for a long time? It is not the time anymore for just my child to have a class. Your child needs to have a system or a community where they can learn the Quran and at the same time connect the Quran to their daily life, connect the Quran to their daily experiences, live the experiences in schools, brothers and sisters. Because one day your child will stand in a world full of confusion without you beside them. How do they navigate life? This is why you make them learn the Quran. But the question is, what did their hearts become attached to while they are going to Quran classes while they were young? What was the thing that was attracting them? So you need to subscribe to this channel, inshallah. Every week we can get connected and talk about the real issues and we can guide ourselves, inshallah. If you're really excited to help your child learn the Quran in an environment that's not just memorizing, not just reading, but an environment that guides them and makes them connect Quran to real life, you can tap the link below this video and sign up to see if your child could be qualified for a mentorship program where we teach students every week. And of course, we have sessions to connect the Quran to daily life, talk about the real issues in schools and try to blend all this together. So they're not just memorizing the Quran, they are learning to read fluently, they can understand to memorize the Quran, but at the same time, they know the value of the Quran in their life and they can make decisions in schools or at home or in the society based on the guidance from the Quran. If you'd like to learn more about things we've discussed in the past, subscribe to this channel. If you have any comments, comment below on this video. If you have any suggestions for new topics to discuss that you feel it's necessary to learn more about it, put it in the comments, inshallah, and we'll go through it, inshallah. We ask Allah to protect our family. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.